Welcome to Anews. I'm Amir Taslim, and you're watching Turkey's Diplomacy. Turkey is positioning itself once again at the center of high-stakes diplomacy as it presses for full Israeli compliance with the Gaza ceasefire. That unresolved ceasefire issue is directly slowing the pace of U.S.-mediated normalization efforts, with both Syria and Saudi Arabia refusing to move forward without genuine guarantees on Palestinian statehood. At the same time, Sudan's war is spiraling further into mass atrocities, exposing how fractured regional power balances are being exploited across multiple fronts. And in Lebanon, Israeli strikes are continuing despite a truce, deepening tensions as Hezbollah faces mounting pressure to disarm under international supervision. Joining me to discuss these pressing topics today are Dr. Nurhan Al-Baya, Professor of Strategic Studies at the Istanbul Aydın University and a consultant for the UNDP, and Anews editor Mustafa Kocakenar.
A ceasefire has brought relative calm to Gaza, but aid agencies warned Tuesday that help isn't arriving fast enough, and winter is just around the corner. Displaced people in Khan Yunis say they're afraid what they've got won't see them through the cold and rainy months ahead. 52-year-old Manal Salam says she worries her tent won't last the season.
Winter, we do not want to talk about winter because the fears are very big. Our tents are completely worn out. We are unable, we do not know what to do. It is not just me. Most of the tents at the school are worn out. We just say, God have mercy on us for the winter. As much as we used to pray for rain to come, now we pray that rain does not come so that we do not struggle.
The truce between Israel and Hamas was meant to open the floodgates to aid for Gaza. Famine was confirmed by the UN in August, and more than 2 million people there have lost homes to Israeli bombardment. Shayna Lowe is a spokesperson for the Norwegian Refugee Council, which leads agencies working on Gaza's lack of shelter.
It is a race against time right now. An estimated 1.5 million people or so are in need of emergency shelter assistance. And in the Middle East, the weather changes quite quickly. It goes from being hot, like it is today, to cold and rainy within a matter of days. And so we know that time is running out to get in the emergency shelter material to provide people with protection from exposure to the elements.
The NRC says large volumes of tents, tarps, and related aid are still waiting to come in, pending Israeli approvals. Meanwhile, the World Food Program says that only half the food Gaza needs is coming in. And an umbrella group of Palestinian agencies says overall aid volumes are less than a third of what they expected.
Welcome back, Dr. Nurhan Al-Baya. Welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Nurhan, let's start today with the meeting that took place in Istanbul, hosted by Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. Now, Nurhan, obviously, when we look at that meeting, Arab leaders, Muslim leaders, leaders from Pakistan, UAE, Qatar, Indonesia, everyone was there. But what they discussed really was the international stabilization force, which is going to be deployed in Gaza. Now, of course, we also know that Israel has some reservations. Israel says that we don't want the presence of Turkish forces, and Turkey has responded to that. The United States wants Turkey to be a part of the stabilization force as well. How are you looking at this meeting, Dr. Nurhan, which was held this week? What could this meeting bring in the weeks ahead and in the months ahead as well?
Mr. Hakan Fidan, the foreign minister, he actually hosted this meeting. He gathered a couple of Islamic leaders to Istanbul last Monday. They discussed the fragile peace agreement and ceasefire agreement in Gaza. The issue here, which we were actually, Omar, expected that Israel will not follow the terms of the ceasefire agreement. In terms of bombing, they are still continuing bombing parts in Gaza continuously. In terms of the humanitarian aid access to Gaza, maximum per day 150 to 200 trucks, most of them commercial goods, not humanitarian aids. We have to differentiate between those two types of trucks, because it's kind of or type of manipulation from Israeli side. Because look, from the big image, look, we are allowing trucks to access Gaza Strip, but what type of trucks you are allowing to access? Commercial goods, not humanitarian aids. People are still living in the street next to the rubble of their houses. They are still in a degree of 10 and 15 degrees now in Gaza, winter under the rain, without tents, without any type of food, clean water, no clean water. Now the Egyptian forces and Egyptian machines entered and accessed Gaza Strip to help in the removing the rubble, along with United Nations Development Program as well. They have a big presence in Gaza Strip, especially in terms of removing the rubbles. The rubbles, they have already calculated the estimated size of the rubble, like around 60 billion ton of rubble or rubbles.
And they're saying it will take
Strip.
around 15 to 20 years to clear that rubble as well. Turkish forces are there. Turkish search and rescue teams are there as well. Qatari teams are there as well. And teams from Egypt are there as well, along with authorities in the Gaza Strip. Yeah, please continue.
So this is, we are talking about a transition period, but it's actually, when we look at the image, it's not transition. They are still bombing. They are still closing Rafah border gate. And if they decide to open it, they open it for commercial goods. So where is the ceasefire over here? Where is the peace agreement they are talking about? Where is the stability they were discussing in the peace meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh? We cannot see anything. We need more supervision on this peace agreement, on this ceasefire, fragile, unfortunately, ceasefire agreement, because as expected, nothing changed. Still, everything as it is. People still losing their lives. People still, or Israel still killing Palestinian people. And humanitarian aid, we cannot see any significant humanitarian aid can access or enter Gaza Strip because of the closure of Rafah Gate border from Israeli side, of course.
Nurhan, I will talk with you about the normalization process as well, Syria, Saudi Arabia and Israel. But before that, I want to ask you about the latest from Lebanon, because the Israeli government has said that if Hezbollah does not disarm, we will continue bombing Lebanese areas, especially we know the situation at the border areas. What's the latest? What do we know? Do you think that Hezbollah is going to disarm? I don't think so, because they've been given this deadline of 31st December. Do you think they're going to disarm by the 31st of December or no?
No, they will not. I don't think so at all. All the given information in front of us is telling us that Hezbollah is or will not disarm at all, will not take down or give down, their arms, because actually deep inside the Hezbollah itself, they are trying to rebuild themselves. They are trying to re-strengthen themselves after what happened in September 2024 war in Lebanon. We all know that Hezbollah got weakened compared to before. So now they are trying to rebuild themselves from inside the party, Hezbollah party. So I don't think they will disarm. Yesterday, Netanyahu was in a meeting in the cabinet, with the cabinet, and he discussed and he gave order to them. He asked them that we will not move now in Lebanon. We will wait till end of next month, which is the agreed date, 31st of December 2025. They will wait till the actual date comes, and then they will start apparently taking serious military action in Lebanon. So this is what happened yesterday in the meeting. The support of America is so obvious. They are standing behind Israel, and we can see this obviously, especially with the talk of Tom Barak, the U.S. envoy in Lebanon and Syria. He's always using a very harsh, very tough, very aggressive statements, especially towards Lebanon and towards Hezbollah. The latest or the last or the recent statement from him, he described Lebanon as failed state. He started saying some facts about Lebanon in terms of the corruption in the Central Bank of Lebanon, in terms of the corruption in the institution of the electricity of Lebanon, and of course the Hezbollah and LAF, which is the Lebanese armed forces, how they are suffering from lack of human resources, lack of equipment, and compared to Hezbollah, he has the very well it's very well equipped, Hezbollah, in terms of human resources, in terms of budgeting or financing, in terms of latest equipments, actually. So he's always using this harsh and tough statements against Lebanon and Hezbollah. It's technique, it's tactic, it's part of putting pressure on LAF and Lebanese government to help in disarmament of Hezbollah. But this, I think this will not come up with any result. Hezbollah will not disarm.
Nurhan, they're saying, some analysts have said that if Hezbollah disarms, that will create a civil war in Lebanon. And Lebanon is not new to civil wars. Do you think that a civil war is possible if Hezbollah disarms?
Very possible, because already Lebanon is suffering from division or between Lebanese sectarian, especially sectarian division. Lebanese people are divided into sectarian groups, so they are so sensitive. And we all know the well-known civil war in Lebanon from 1975 till 1991. So the history and the record of Lebanon is full of civil war events. So people are trying, the new government, President Michel Aoun and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam, they are trying to avoid any clash, any civil war in Lebanon, because if this happened already, Lebanon is suffering from a very, very, very deep economical crisis. No water, no electricity, no central bank. Actually, central bank is suffering from 60 billion shortage. It's not working. The governmental places already are not working. Court is not working. So even teachers in Lebanon in public schools, they are already protesting since 2020. So what's already, everything is missing in the country. They need to rebuild the country from scratch, actually. So having a civil war in this time, especially now, it will be disaster. It will be a catastrophe on Lebanon.
Nurhan, okay, moving from Lebanon to Syria and Saudi Arabia. Now, both of these countries are looking forward to normalizing ties with Israel through the Abraham Accords.
Yeah.
But obviously, there are some conditions. Israel says that there's going to be no two-state solution to this entire issue. Saudi Arabia says we will only normalize if there's a two-state solution. And, all the things are done according to the 1967 guidelines. Now, we've been hearing that the Syrian president, Ahmed al-Shara, he said that I will pursue an independent policy. I will not be influenced by the United States or Russia or whichever country we're talking about. Do you think that both of these countries now, given the atrocities in Gaza, do you think that they will normalize ties? What are you expecting?
President Trump already stated a couple of days ago that Saudi Arabia will normalize and will join Abraham Agreement regardless the two-state solutions happened or not. He already stated this clearly. And all givens in front of us are saying that those two countries, especially because now the talks are so obvious and continuously talking about joining Abraham Agreement, they're gonna join, in my opinion, regardless two-state solutions will happen or not.
Also, MBS is visiting the United States on the 18th of November.
Yes, exactly.
That says a lot.
Exactly. And by the way, President Ashara is planning to visit America very soon. And one of the key points on his agenda will be joining Abraham Agreement, normalizing the relationships between Syria and Israel. So I don't think they are waiting for two-state solutions to be happened or not. They're gonna normalize. I think, from my point of view, they're going to normalize very soon.
And what about the UAE? Because now people are questioning the United Arab Emirates as well because of what's going on in Sudan. Yes. And the United Arab Emirates is supporting the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, against the Sudanese army. So obviously, there's a lot of pressure on the United Arab Emirates as well, right?
No,
How is the UAE looking at the situation? Because we know what has happened. Over 68,000 people have been killed in the occupied Gaza Strip.
Yes.
And we've seen the reaction from Abu Dhabi. So tell me about the UAE's reaction, Nurhan.
UAE basically is waiting for the action of Saudi Arabia towards Abraham Agreement, because Saudi Arabia is the leader or leading of the GCC region, Gulf countries region. Usually, Saudi Arabia is taking the steps first, number one among those 6 GCC countries. So basically, United Arab Emirates, which is the biggest ally of KSA, Saudi Arabia, they are waiting what Saudi Arabia gonna do. If they're gonna join the Abraham Agreement, definitely the first state, the first country will follow Saudi Arabia will be UAE. This is unnegotiable thing. So it's just a matter of time. They are waiting. The leader of GCC countries. In terms of the huge support of what's happening in Sudan, Sudan is suffering from civil wars since April.
What's happening in Sudan? It's
2023, but things now are getting more and more, especially in terms of the humanitarian standards, in terms of the humanitarian level, same as what happened in Gaza. Man-made famine, a very low level of humanitarian standard living, the minimum even of living is not exist now in Sudan. People are suffering from lots of diseases. They are just moving from area to area in this weather under the rain. The government losing control against the RSF, and we all know that they are supported by United Arab Emirates.
And Egypt and Iran are supporting the Sudanese armed forces, right?
Yes.
They're supporting the government. Turkey is also supporting the government.
The government, exactly.
Government.
But United Arab Emirates, they are unfortunately supporting the other side. 2 days ago, the representative of Sudan, he gave a very tough speech in the United Nations in front of the UAE representative, and he just put the fingers on United Arab Emirates that they are behind what's happening in Sudan. They are responsible of what's happening in Sudan, and they should stop this aggression in Sudan, and they have to find a solution, same as they started. They have to end it. Still, we didn't hear anything formal from the United Arab Emirates government, but still we are waiting they should speak up, actually. Someone from the United Arab Emirates government should speak, should give statement to explain, to clarify the situation, because the situation is beyond imagination. The situation is unbelievable in Sudan. The experience or the situation of Gaza is now getting repeated in Sudan, which we are talking here in the same region. We are talking Arab countries. We are talking in Middle East. Same exactly what happened in Gaza. Man-made famine, very disaster or catastrophic humanitarian standard livings happening now.
And more people have been
Gaza.
killed in Sudan, by the way. Over 150,000 people have been killed in the last 2 years. I'm pretty sure that the death toll in Gaza is also high. It's not 68,000, which the Gaza health authorities have said. Yes. We know that there are like some independent journals have made some researches, and they've said 500,000 to 1 million people. That includes deaths and casualties as well. But what we're seeing in Sudan is extremely different, and it's not the first time that we're seeing such a situation in Sudan, right? Because we saw the Darfur genocide as well. What happened in Sudan from 2003 to 2005. Many people were killed, and obviously that was those fights were based on ethnicities, on religion, the Arabs against the African tribes.
Yes. Omar, Sudani is killing Sudani in front of our eyes. This is the worst thing that any nation can reach to.
It's about autonomy. It's about gaining those strongholds. It's about gold. It's about all that money. It's about
domination.
all those natural
dominate?
resources in the country, right?
Exactly. It's all about who gonna put his hand on the resources of the country, who gonna dominate or dominant the country in the future. We can see the Sudani is killing Sudani. Sudani is killing his brother. Sudani is killing his sister. Sudani is killing. This is very, very catastrophic level we reach to. I'm speechless actually to talk about this, and I'm speechless more about the silence of international community towards what's happening in Sudan. No one is raising the situation. No one is raising the problem, what's happening in Sudan. Why? Because they are maybe different color, because maybe they are different region, because maybe they are they belong to Africa. Maybe what exactly the reason why people are just focusing, or international community, they are just focusing on Russia and Ukraine. Lately, yes, Gaza, but after what? After Gaza reached to a very high level of aggression and man-made famine. So now it's same people, they are just trying to not to look at Sudan just because difference in color. Maybe because just they are African, maybe because just this is something unfair.
And it's worse in Sudan, by the way.
Way worse.
25 million people are facing acute hunger in Sudan.
Yes.
As compared to Gaza. Where's 25? And in Gaza, it's 1 million probably.
Exactly.
But it's worse than Gaza.
Omar, but there's something. Already, Sudani people, before this problem, they were suffering already from still existing and current issues, economical issues, things related even to human resources issues. So they are already suffering. No need to add more things to them. So can you imagine to which level they reach? They already suffering, and no one cared. No one cares about them. Till now, no one cares. We are waiting from UAE government to talk, to speak up. No one. International communication, powerful members of the international community. No one spoke up. So this is something I'm really speechless about it.
Dr. Nurhan, thank you so much for those comments. I'll be right back with you. Former U.S. President Dick Cheney has died at the age of 84, closing a long and influential and often polarizing chapter in American political history.
I believe you're looking at the next Vice President of the United States.
Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney died on Monday at the age of 84. His career in government stretched back to the Nixon administration, but his most consequential role was serving under George W. Bush in the wake of the 9/11 terror attacks. He aggressively pushed for military intervention in Afghanistan and Iraq, and defended the use of what the administration called the enhanced interrogation techniques on prisoners, methods the U.S. Senate's Intelligence Committee would call torture. Presidential historians consider Cheney to have been one of the most powerful vice presidents in U.S. history.
Dick Cheney's legacy is fundamentally complicated, fundamentally polarizing, and in many respects divisive.
Professor Garrett Martin is with American University's School of International Service.
I think many of those issues, played into that perception of Dick Cheney not being the most sympathetic character to his opponents.
In the case of Iraq, we have a regime that is busy enhancing its capabilities.
One of Cheney's lasting legacies is his insistence that Iraq had been developing weapons capable of threatening the U.S. and had ties to the group al-Qaeda. No such weapons were ever found. Cheney in later years insisted that the invasion was the right decision.
What we did in Iraq was exactly the right thing to do. If I had it to recommend all over again, I would recommend exactly the same course of action.
But Professor Martin said this damaged American faith in how political leaders might use or misuse intelligence.
And so I think the fact that it turned out to be stupendously wrong, has really created deep skepticism towards the ability of the intelligence community, as well as the risk of officials, basically manipulating or instrumentalizing intelligence for their own benefit. And I would say that both inside the United States, but of course, externally.
The invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan, neither of which delivered quick and tidy victories, but lengthy military engagement and counterinsurgency, became grounds for a subsequent Republican president to vilify Cheney.
Cheneys are diehard globalists and warmongers who have been plunging us into new conflicts for decades.
Cheney came out vociferously against Donald Trump 2 years ago, singling out Trump's efforts to overturn the results of his election loss in 2020.
He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him.
I think January 6th is a sort of fundamental fork in the road. I think for Dick Cheney, there's still a general reverence for the peaceful transition of power and for the Constitution. At times, he may himself have sort of been treaded on delicate ground, but I think that was for Dick Cheney a clear sort of red line that what he viewed Donald Trump as being responsible for in January 6th was just unforgivable.
Cheney's family said he had died from complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease.
Welcome back. Joining me now from the Turkish city of Çankırı is Anews editor Mustafa Kocakenar. Mustafa, welcome to the program. I believe there's a technical issue, so I will return to you, Nurhan, until we try to fix Mustafa's connection issue. We were going to talk about Dick Cheney, right? The architect of the Iraq War, an influential figure, obviously the vice president under George W. Bush. So many things that he did wrong, so many things that he said, I wish I would have done again. And on so many numerous occasions, he was in charge of those prisons as well. The situation in those prisons, the situation in Baghdad. Incredible, right? His role was incredible. Under George W. Bush, we know his actions. He was also responsible for, let's say, whatever happened after 9/11. He was in charge of those policies as well. How are you looking at that, at his role? How are you looking at the destruction, Nurhan? Because when we talk about, look, these things happened, 10, 20 years ago, 2 decades ago at least, okay? And now when we think about those atrocities, we can talk about how people died in Iraq, what happened, the mercenaries, Blackwater. There's so many things when you talk about Iraq, Tony Blair. How are you looking at that? How are you looking at that destruction? Obviously, you've spent so much time over there as well in the Middle East. Tell me, Nurhan, how do you look at that time, that era, and if we compare it to what's happening in Gaza today, how would you look at both of these things?
In what happened in Iraq, or let's talk about what happened after September 11th, because the equation in the Middle East have been changed totally, have been shifted, transformed totally after September 11th, because after that we saw the war in Iraq, which was a break point in the history of the Middle East, and break point in the whole events happened in the Middle East. So he was behind this aggression in the Middle East. After September 11th, he was behind the unhumanitarian thoughts, actions, acts, events behind September 11th, and his excuse only was terrorist.
400,000 people have been killed in Iraq, by the way.
Yes, yes.
And that includes civilian killings, that includes people who have died from diseases, from people who died in the aftermath of the Iraq War.
By using nuclear and chemical weapons by the
of mass destruction, apparently they were present in Iraq.
Yes, by the American army forces, and he was behind this. Even the excuses behind his acts in Iraq, this invasion in Iraq with 500,000 Iraqi have been killed. Like, we are searching for weapons in Iraq, but what was the reality? They were searching for oil, they were searching for petrol, they were stealing gold, they were stealing petrol. They put their hands on the biggest petrol sources in the whole world. We all know that Iraq is listed as #1 in terms of the amount of petrol and oil. Now it's controlled by who? Till now, by American. So who was behind this? Him. The invasion, the catastrophic level at that time. If we gonna decide to put the invasion of Iraq in a comparison with what happened in Gaza, by the way, it's same exactly. Same. The same scenario is getting repeated again and again and again, but from different members of international community. But in Gaza's issue, the support came from who? Same member, United States of America. Same member was responsible of the invasion of Iraq. So that's why when they are talking about civilians, when they are talking about behaviors, when they are talking about act like or in a civil way, no.
Would you agree with me?
What about the invasion of Iraq? What about those 500,000 killed in Iraq?
Nurhan, would you agree with me if I say that this is an American policy that it wants Muslims to fight against Muslims? We saw what happened in the Qatar blockade, Iran versus Saudi Arabia, Qatar versus Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Do you think that this is an American policy?
Sudan, same, yes. Of course, definitely. They are trying to weaken this region. What happened, for example, here in Sudan, let's take Sudan as example. As I just mentioned, Sudan is killing Sudani because it's based on what? The main clash in Sudan based on what? It's part of it religious as well. Part of it related to sectarian and religious things. So we are talking about same issues. Last September 2024, when they started also the war in Lebanon, Netanyahu, the first statement, he said that people of Lebanon, we are trying to protect you. You are trying to protect who from who? They are Lebanese. Do you think Israel will protect a part of Lebanese people from another Lebanese people?
That's difficult.
So much. So this is their strategy in the Middle East. That's why they are trying, by following this tactic, they are trying to reshape a new Middle East. By following this tactic, by trying to weaken the people, the Middle Eastern, in this way, so it will give them the space to reshape a new Middle East following their own mind, following their own mentality, following their own terms and rules they want.
Nurhan, since we're in the United States, we're talking about US politics and its influence in the Middle East. Let's talk about the new NYC mayor, Zohran Mamdani.
Yes.
Democratic, socialist. He has won the elections and he is going to assume office on the 1st of January. What is he bringing? Let's talk about that. Free buses, free rents. There are so many things that he has talked about. Pro-Palestine. He's pro-Palestine. We know that as well.
Yeah.
He has defeated Kumo. Obviously, Kumo gave a tough time to Zohran Mamdani, but obviously the attention that Mamdani gained because of how multicultural he is. He was targeting every aspect of New York City, basically.
Yeah.
And Nurhan, you've lived in the US as well. You went to Harvard. You've been to Boston. You've been to New York City as well so many times traveling back and forth. You've just told me before the program. Tell me, how are you looking at his election? Tell me, what do you see in Zohran Mamdani and how beneficial could he be for New York City?
Personally, this moment is a very, very proud moment. We cannot deny the fact of Mamdani's campaign ripped off the masks of the idea of Islamophobia. This, deep-rooted idea. He just ripped off this idea by his campaign. So this is something so important because the amount of aggression he got from the other sides or from different voices, let's call them, it was very insulting, actually. It was not only aggressive, it was insulting, it was very disgusting, actually, because those voices tried their best to ban him, to stop him, to when they spent billions and billions against him just to not to let him win this election. But by the end of the day, he won. Do you know why he won the election? Simply because he spoke the language of people in New York. New York City is basically immigrant city, built by immigrants. He said it's powered by immigrants. And starting from today, it will be lit by immigrants.
There's a person who hates immigrants. That's Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what he has said? He has said that we will cut federal funds for New York. So the challenges are just starting for Mamdani, right?
Yes, I think the Mamdani, he didn't start yet. He will starting from today. And he will face so many challenges because he came with different mentality. Actually, not different mentality. He came with totally opposite mentality than Trump. Totally, he's an immigrant. We cannot forget the very wild campaign, aggressive campaign from Trump against immigrants.
And the billionaires.
Exactly. So now, who's leading New York now? Immigrants. Democrats sweeping the elections, especially in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia. They swept the elections big time. So it's like it's kind of rebuking Trump by sweeping the elections, and especially on those three states.
Do you think he's going to be there for a long time?
Mamdani, yes. Mamdani will be. And Mamdani will succeed, in my opinion, because the language he speaks, same language of people. Because New York, by the end of the day, it's an immigrant city. It's the most liberal state in America. Not only immigrant, the most liberal state. So he came from within, Umar. Mamdani, he came from within. He came from the heart of New York. His family immigrated to New York when he was 7 years old. He graduated from a public school, not private. He's not speaking with the language of elites, Omar. He's speaking the language of immigrants, the language of average people in New York. Plus,
that's what he says. I'm a common man.
He is. He's Democrat, socialist, common. man. Despite the fact of when they asked Trump a couple of weeks ago about Mamdani, they asked him about Mamdani is describing himself that he is Democrat socialist. What do you think, President Trump? He said no, he's not socialist. He's worse than socialist. He's communist. So, and today in the victory speech of Mamdani, he said that I am Democrat, I am socialist. Please, President Trump, turn the volume up and listen to me clearly. I am Democrat socialist. Another reason behind the winning of Mamdani is he's talking about, or he put the spotlights on very, very, very sensitive issues New Yorkers are suffering from under Trump's administration, which is the cost of living. Cost of living is very, very, very high since Trump came as president. That's why he offered that, or he promised that I'm going to open free grocery shops. I'm going to offer free buses for workers to smooth and to ease the transportations, and renting as well. He talked so much about renting because people are suffering from very high rates and very high level of renting costs in New York. Even they were suffering, they were talking, normal people in the street in New York, they were talking about the cup of coffee. How the price of cup of coffee changed when I was in Boston. I was in Boston and in New York in last March. People were talking about how the cup of coffee, the price changed from March 2024 to March 2025. Look, we are talking about only 12 months. And we are talking about something very, very cheap, which is cup of coffee, very simple, cup of Americano. So this is something so sad. So that's why Mamdani he made it actually, and it was really a very a proud moment. We are talking about South Asian person, young. He's 34 years old. He born in 1991. So we are talking about young man, South Asian, Urdu-speaking person, Muslim. For the first time, those all together combined in one person for the first time, he gonna govern, or he will be the mayor of New York. So definitely, it's a very proud moment for everyone.
Well, wishing Zohran Mamdani all the best. 1st of January, we're going to see a new mayor in New York City. Dr. Noorhan Al-Baya, thank you so much for being on the program. It was a pleasure talking to you. We talked about so many things. Gaza, there was Sudan, there was UAE, normalization, Abraham Accords. Thank you so much for being in the studios with us today.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you so much.
That brings us to the end of our program. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.